Okay, in this part of our lesson, we're going to be working with, still continuing to work multi-step equations or two-step equations that involve negatives, just to remind you of those things from section 3 that you need to make sure that you're remembering to do. Okay, so here we're working with these equations are going to look very similar to ones that we've previously done. I've just added some negatives in there so that we can review the steps that we need to do when we have a negative involved with multiplying and dividing. So here as I go through and I work through my way through this problem, I have negative n divided by 2 plus 11 is greater than 12. So we still work orders of operation in reverse by doing the opposite. So plus 11, plus 11. Okay, I'm still left with a negative n over 2 is greater than 12 plus 11 is 23. Okay, so now I want to work to get that negative and that 2 out of there. So this is where we have to remember that when we're moving that negative and it's involving multiplying and dividing, we have to do the opposite of this. So that's my visual cue of remembering that I need to flip that around when I write my final answer. So I'm going to go ahead and take these together. Right now it's dividing by negative 2, so we're going to go times a negative 2 to cancel out on this side. So times negative 2. I now have n. I need to reverse this because I was taking the negative or the opposite with it. And then 23 times 2 is 46. We have one negative, so it's a negative 46. Okay, so I'm going to move this graph out because it's not going to be big enough for me. And let's see, we've got negative 46 we'll throw in the middle. Maybe negative 47 here, negative 45 here. And you can do as many numbers as you'd like. I would like you to try and use at least 3. Okay, so now as I go through and I work my way through this, I'm going to do an open circle on negative 46. And then n is the smaller number, so my arrow should go this direction. Okay, once again, this is similar to what you've been doing. I'm just reviewing with you what happens when you have that negative involved with that multiplying and dividing that we learned back in lesson 3. Okay, so let's try another one. Okay, so we have negative b minus 1 is less than 7. Okay, still going to work those same steps, working orders of operation in reverse, so plus 1, plus 1. Okay, so we have negative b plus, negative 4b plus, not plus anything, equals, or is less than 7 plus 1 is 8. Okay, so now we're going to work to get b by itself. So we're going to divide by negative 4. Remembering to take that, when I take that negative and I'm doing multiplying or dividing, to flip that symbol. So divide by negative 4. I now have b is greater than, so I flipped my symbol. 8 divided by negative 4 would give me negative 2. Okay, so we'll do negative 2, negative 3, and negative 1. Now we're going to graph that. Open circle on b. B is the bigger number, so we're going to fall this direction. And that's working through a two-step equation. Okay, we're going to move into some multi-step equations. Once again, it's not a whole lot of new, it's just review. Okay, so we've got a multi-step equation here where we need to go through and do some combining of like terms. So here I've got n's on the same side of that inequality symbol here, which means we're going to go ahead and combine them by not doing the opposite first. So if I did a 2 minus 7, that would give me a negative 5n minus 10 is less than or equal to 70. Okay, so now we're back to the steps that we were just previously doing. Okay, we would go ahead and add 10. Add 10. Okay, so 70 plus 10 gives me 80. And then I've got my negative 5n out in front. Visual cue for myself, because of this negative sign here, I need to reverse that as I rewrite it. So I'm going to divide by negative 5. Divide by negative 5. So I've got n, reverse my symbol. And 80 divided by 5 is going to give me 16. One negative makes it a negative 16. Okay, so negative 16. Negative 17, negative 15. We're going to have a filled in circle on our 16. and n's the bigger number, so our arrow would go this direction. Once again, just reminding you, it's not every time there's a negative involved, it's only when we're getting rid of that multiplying and dividing that has a negative that we have to do the reverse or the opposite of that inequality. Let's try one with distribution. Okay, so here we've got some distribution. So we're going to go ahead and do our distribution first. Okay, so we're going to distribute that negative to both of these things in here. So remember, if there's a negative involved in that second number or a negative in front of it, we have to remember to think before we write our final part of that answer. So negative 2 times m is negative 2m. Negative 2 times a negative 10 gives me a positive 20. And then my greater than symbol and 28. Okay, so now we're going to work to get that 20 out of there by doing a minus 20. Minus 20. I now have negative 2m is greater than 28 minus 20 is 8. Okay, so my negatives here, we're doing some multiplying. I got to reverse that. So it's going to become, when I move it and divide by negative 2, taking the negative with it, it becomes m is less than, and then 8 divided by negative 2 is a negative 4. So negative 4, negative 5, negative 3, open circle on negative 4, and m is the smaller number, which would be that direction. Okay, so I just want to point out to you that had I gone through and did some of my subtraction or some addition, let's just change this up slightly because I know all of the samples I've given you have always had a negative answer in the end. Okay, so let's just slightly change this. Let's say that this was also a negative 28. So I'm going to throw a negative in there, which is going to change this back end. So negative 28 minus 20 would give me a negative 48. Now, when I go to divide by that negative 2, okay, in this case, remember I have to still reverse it because I'm dividing by the negative 2. It's when the negatives with that multiplying or dividing that I have to flip my symbol. Now, 48 divided by 2 would give me 24. 2 negatives make it a positive 24. No, it doesn't mean because I got a positive answer that I shouldn't be reversing. I still reverse when I'm moving that negative number away from that letter, okay? When it's involving multiplying and dividing. So then I would go ahead and grab 24, 25, 23, open circle on 24, and then m smaller, so it would still go this direction. Okay, so the key thing out of this lesson is just reviewing some things that we learned back in lesson 3. When you've got multiplication or division involved with a negative number, to get that negative out of there, you also have to reverse your inequality symbol. Good luck with this.